Hi, Living Waters Youth. Welcome to your midweek Bible study. Hopefully, this is the last one that we have to record, and we'll be back in class next week. I know that's the plan so far, but we all know how things with this virus seem to just go day to day. But anyway, yes, that's the plan for next week. And Nikki and I won't be there. We'll be on vacation, but we can't wait to come back and have class with you guys. I know that this time of separation hasn't been easy. It hasn't been easy for us leaders, and I know that you guys miss each other and you long to be together. So I'm really excited for what the Lord is going to do. Like I said, I know it hasn't been easy, so I'm really excited about that. But for now, we'll go ahead and I always say this, but I don't have a lot to share. I'm just going to share the little bit that I feel that the Lord has laid on my heart and what He's been speaking to me. I just feel that in this time that we're living in, it's so easy to be fearful, and it's so easy to see everything that's going on around you. And if you pay too much attention to what's going on around you, you'll lose sight of Jesus. And I just have felt that even in my own life. I almost feel like a fear wanting to grip me and almost just like to distract me. And I feel like I can just continually hear the Lord. I feel Him telling me in my spirit to turn your eyes upon Jesus. And that song has even just been in my spirit probably for the past few days. And then I had already been thinking about what I was going to speak on and what I know that the Lord was telling me personally. And then I happened to be on Instagram one day, and I seen that the Ignite posted the lyrics to that song along with a description of where it came from. And so to me, that was confirmation of what I know that the Lord has been speaking to me. I'm going to go ahead and read out of Matthew chapter 14, verse 22 through 33. And I'm going to read it out of the Amplified. And this is a story about Jesus walking on the water. I'm sure you all know it, so bear with me here. But in chapter 14, verse 22, it says, "Immediately He directed the disciples to get into the boat and go ahead of Him to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, while He sent the crowds away. After He had dismissed the crowds, He went up on the mountain by Himself to pray. When it was evening, He was there alone. But the boat by this time was already a long distance from land, tossed and battered by the waves, for the wind was against them. And in the fourth watch of the night, 3 to 6 a.m., Jesus came to them walking on the sea. When the disciples saw Him walking on the sea, they were terrified and said, 'It is a ghost,' and they cried out in fear. But immediately He spoke to them, saying, 'Take courage, it is I, do not be afraid.' Peter replied to Him, 'Lord, if it is really You, command me to come to You on the water.' He said, 'Come.' So Peter got out of the boat, and he walked on the water and came towards Jesus. But when he saw the effects of the wind, he was frightened, and he began to sink. And he cried out, 'Lord, save me.' Immediately Jesus extended His hand and caught him, saying to him, 'O you of little faith, why did you doubt?' And when they got into the boat, the wind ceased." It doesn't take much to see that much of today's world is just totally gripped by fear. Everything you see around you, everything you hear on the news, everyone's so afraid. We're afraid to live. We're afraid to go to the store. We're afraid. Some people are afraid to gather with their family. They don't want their kids to go to school. Fear of just the unknown, and it's all just really gripped the hard sphere of the economy. So in a world where there's fear all around us, what is the key to not letting it overtake you? And the answer to that is to turn our eyes upon Jesus. When our eyes and hearts are fixed on Jesus and what He can do, we have the faith to walk where God has called us to walk. And it's only when we keep our eyes focused on Jesus. You know, when Peter got out of the boat, it was already windy and stormy. There was no calm first. So the wind was still there. And he knew that, but he saw Jesus and he had the faith to get out of the boat. And I believe that even in spite of the storm, he still had the faith to go to Jesus because he had his eyes towards Him. And maybe at that point, I don't know, I'm just using my imagination, the storm didn't matter so much. He knew it was there. They had to have known. And so maybe in that moment, maybe he just saw Jesus and he just wanted to go to him, that in that moment it didn't matter because all he could see was Jesus. And he steps out in faith, and we know that it's not always the easy thing to do. I think of all the disciples that were in the boat, and Peter is the only one that asked to come to Jesus. And so as long as our eyes are fixed on Jesus, Peter, he's able to defy gravity and everything that should be working against him. And it's not until he takes his eyes off of Jesus that he sees the wind and he's afraid and he drowns. And I just have this thought, like, fear, it will sink you. It just completely takes over, and it will destroy any faith if you let the fear come in. It's the opposite of faith, and it'll cause you to drown. You know, in life, there's many things that we can be fearful of. You know, Jesus wouldn't have told him not to be afraid if there wasn't a reason for him to fear. So these feelings of fear that we feel, they're very real, and it's normal. There's things that all around us that can cause us to fear, but Jesus told us still, in spite of all that, not to fear, but we just have to keep our eyes fixed on him. I want to read this footnote out of the study Bible. It just says, in life there are many things to fear, yet Jesus wants us to look to him and not be afraid. His words of encouragement are found on his limitless power and his intense personal love for all who belong to him. You know, I just think about the reason why he would tell us not to fear, even though there's reasons that we should fear. We don't have to, because we can look to him and he can be confident in what he's telling us, because he knows that he loves us and he knows that all power already belongs to him. You know, what other hope do we have if we don't put our trust and faith in him? He's the only one that can help us anyway. You know, all that we have to do as young people is just to keep our eyes on Jesus. And I know that I've said that a lot, but it's so important. You know, I think about the beginning of this story. Jesus, he's the Son of God, and it says that he went alone into a mountain to pray. Before he ever walked on the water, he was alone with God. And I think about us, you know, how much time do we spend alone with God? He's the Son of God, and he even knew how important prayer was. It's our prayer and fellowship with God. That's how our relationship with him is built. You know, it's hard to trust someone that you don't know or that you don't spend any time with. You know, if you are ever in a moment in this natural life where you're afraid or you need comfort, you're going to go to someone you know. You're going to go to your parents, maybe a brother or sister, but it's going to be someone that you know and trust, someone that you know that you're confident that they love you, because you have that relationship that's already built. And so I just ask you guys, young people, just in this time, you know, there's not a lot going on anyways. The Lord has shut down a lot of what takes away our time and what fights for our attention, and he's turned all that off. And I believe that he's done that for a reason. And if we're not going to be fearful in this time, and if we want to just keep our focus and our attention on him, we have to have that time to be alone with God. And that's in prayer, in reading your word. You know, if you don't read your word, you're not going to be confident in God's promises towards you. You're not going to even know what they are. And just don't let this time that you have, don't let it be idle time. Don't let it be time that's wasted. You know, never ever, as long as I've been alive and in the history that I know of, has God just shut everything down in the way that he has. And this is our time to get along with him and to draw closer to him. And there's a reason why we need to be close to him, because if we're not near to him with our eyes fixed on him, then we're going to be focused on everything that's going on around us, and that's going to cause us to be fearful, and it will sink us in the end. If you're one that maybe you've been sunken by fear, maybe you've allowed fear and circumstances that you see around you to sink you, remember that God is faithful and he's gracious. Even for Peter, the Bible says that Jesus immediately caught him. So wherever you're at tonight, young people, maybe you feel like you might be sinking. Maybe you feel like you're so afraid. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know when you're going to go back to school. Maybe your parents have lost their jobs. Maybe you have loved ones that are sick. But there's so much going on all around you. And maybe you've allowed yourself to be so focused on that you've taken your eyes off of Jesus. Just remember, young people, if you're sinking, Jesus is there to catch you. He's there to lift you up, and he'll pull you up back to safety. In my spirit, I feel that the Lord has asked me, and he's asking us as a youth group, wherefore didst thou doubt? And the way he says it, it's like, why did you doubt? Because he knows that he has all power, and he knows how much he loves us, and he knows that he's able. But he wants us to know that we don't have to doubt him. Young people, God can be trusted, and he loves us, and he wants us to be well. And he's just asking us today, wherefore didst thou doubt? Why did you doubt? How could we ever doubt God? I know that we do, just because we're human and we're not perfect, but he's all power, and he's already done so much for us. Peter's problem wasn't that he had no faith. Jesus said that he had little faith. But even with little faith and eyes on Jesus, he would have been okay. And you might just feel like you only are hanging on by a little bit, or you only have a little bit of faith. That's okay, young people. That's all you need. That's all you need to just get out of the boat and walk to Jesus, even if it's storming all around you, even if it's windy, even if it feels dark. All you need is a little bit of faith, and with your little faith and eyes on Jesus, you can be okay, and he'll bring you through everything that you're going through. You know, it can be a scary time that we live in. I don't doubt that. I don't make little of it. I know that, you know, my heart goes out to those that don't know the Lord. Like, what comfort and what safety do they have? But we're fortunate enough that we know him, and we have a peace that passes all understanding, and we can just continue to look to Jesus. Nobody has the answers anyways. Nobody knows what's going on. Nobody can tell us what's going to happen even tomorrow. Everything changes from day to day, and it seems like every day it's something new, and it's something different, and something else you're supposed to be afraid of. And these are the numbers, and these are the deaths now, and this is the jobless rate, and this is what the economy is. This is how many people are unemployment. Every day it's something different to get us to be fearful. But fear, that's the way the enemy works. That's his tool, and that's how he operates. And the only way that we can fight against him is in faith. We have to have the faith of God. And that faith comes just by knowing Jesus, by looking to him, by spending time with him, by us spending time with each other and building each other up. That's where our faith is going to come from, that we need in these last days, young people. I love you guys very much. I want us all to be okay, and I know that we're all going to be okay. We're all going to come through this, and we're going to have testimonies on the other side of God's keeping power. And I love you guys, and I can't wait to be together in class in person. Love you.